a miracle, doc, they counted me out. Moment of truth, counting it down. Underdog story was down for the count. Back on my feet, back with a mic, back on the beat, back with a family, and back in the streets. The game on lock, I stand with a key. Standing my ground, I am planning a fleet. Standing my ground, I am planting my feet. Taking a stand, embracing my destiny, shaking his hand, flipping the script.
What is going on, everybody? Welcome to Sunday Night CrossFit Talk. I'm your host, the Clydesdale himself, Scott Switzer. Jamie will not be joining us tonight. Her son has graduated high school. They're holding an open house for him today, and it ran long, but we want her to spend time with family anyway. So super excited for her and her family and all of that. Carolyn is on her way home right now. She should be with us in the next 2 to 3 minutes. So she'll jump on as well. So super stoked for her to get on. She was typing in our rundown, I'm guessing in the car on the way home, but she's out in California now for the summer. So probably doing some stuff with the Doodles and Lex and the family out there. So she'll be here in just a few short minutes, but so glad to see Larry and Craig and CrossFit already here and ready to go, because we're going to have lively discussion tonight with a lot of things in the CrossFit space. We're going to start with some MetFix stuff. We're going to talk a little bit of tia-clair Toomey. Every week we play Fact or Fiction. I'm going to read some statements. Carolyn's going to tell me fact or fiction and why. And then we're going to go over equipment lists and movement standards. Are they needed? Do we need them? And then there's a lot of stuff that Carolyn has typed in that we'll get to, and I'll let her lead that part of the show. But before we get to that, a little catch up for this week is on Friday on my lunch show. I shared with you that my daughter, she's a photographer. She works for a company that does outdoorsy type stuff. And she took a picture of, they were out actually, they put a bear-proof cooler in a bear preserve at Yellowstone National Park and to see if they truly were bear-proof or not. And I shared the picture. I'll share it again here. This was the result of testing if it was bear-proof or not. And as you can plainly see, the bear was able to get into the cooler fairly easily, right down through the top. Did not pay attention to the locks on the side of the cooler, just went right down through the top. Some people asked me on Friday what was in the cooler, or did they rub something on the cooler? They did not rub anything on the cooler. They just had in the cooler a fish, some peanut butter, and some dog biscuits. So that's what was in the cooler. And the bear decided that he wanted them so bad, he would just rip the top off. So these coolers did not pass the test as bear proof, as you can see. But I wanted to fill in the gaps of that story from Friday, as people were inquiring what was inside the cooler that made the bear want to rip it apart. And the answer was peanut butter, fish, and dog biscuits. So there you have it. Answer to our story. But I cannot believe my daughter gets to do stuff like this, and she gets to photograph this, videography this. It's so cool. But anyway, what else is going on? We've got, it's been a wild weekend. Catching up, speaking of bears, catching up on the bear just released last week. I am 4 episodes into the new season of The Bear. Much, much better than season 3. I love seasons 1 and 2. Season 3 was kind of a downer, but I'm really excited that season 4 has kind of brought it back full circle. I was told that season 3 was kind of a transition in the story, and I've really loved season 4 so far. So if you're a fan of The Bear, be excited that it is coming back stronger and better than ever. Just trying to fill some time while my partner gets on. Another thing that I saw a movie this week. My wife started it. It wouldn't be one that I picked. It was called Last Breath with Woody Harrelson. And it's about some deep sea divers fixing a pipeline underneath the North Sea. And some squalls made the boat dislodge from its anchored spot. And then all hell broke loose, and they had to try to get the men up from the bottom of the sea. It's called Last Breath. I'll let you take that for what it is. And it's on Peacock right now for free if you wanted to check that one out. I give it a B movie. We also had a CrossFit documentary released this weekend. The Lucy's had a Road to the Games come out on Friday. I will tell you that I review these on my lunch show all the time. This Road to the Games may have been the worst one yet. I adore Lucy Campbell. In so many ways. And her story is so doggone good. I think it's the best story in CrossFit today. Lucy McGonigal, I don't know much about. I'd love to know more about her. And this Road to the Games didn't give me anything for having an athlete that I completely adore and love her story, the comeback of 2 years on the sideline with surgery on her wrist. And then this up and coming young athlete that I want to know so much about. And I didn't get anything out of it. I didn't get anything. It just fell so far flat. And I would actually give this one a D. My worst grade of the year of all the documentaries from all the different creators that are doing this style. It was just bad. Of the Road to the Games, I like the Australian one, was one of my favorites, and the one with Hopper and Pepper, but I think that was just because of their personalities. And then the Australian one was because of their personalities. Those were probably my two favorites of the season. And I really like a lot of the people that have been in them. And I just feel like they're just training montages at this point. They're not telling us any stories. They've lost all of the storytelling appeal. That's why we watched Road to the Games. We watched Road to the Games to learn about these people, to hear their stories before they were on the big stage. So we knew who to root for. We knew who to pull for. And we didn't get any of that in these last ones. Jenny hits it right on the head. You didn't get to see the Lucy's personalities at all in this. None. It was, yeah. Worst one by far. Right now, Hiller's killing it. Hiller's videos are way better than they're the real Road to the Games. If CrossFit should just hand it over to Hiller and say, you take the name and you do Road to the Games. I think that's the Hip and Steel, the Hopper, the Erica Folo stuff, way better than anything that CrossFit's putting out with Road to the Games. When I see that he has put something up, I'm diving in quickly to watch it. He's just hitting home run after home run, and CrossFit's just starting to strike out left and right. And yeah, they need someone to research the person, find out the story, dig into the story, so we can learn about these athletes. And what's up, Carolyn?
Hello. Can you hear me?
I can.
Can you hear me?
We can.
Perfect.
I was just tap dancing for a while you were getting on. Talking about the new
I was trying to listen to my phone. Yeah. I was on my phone while you were talking about that. I just finished listening to it the other day, and yeah, I felt the same thing. Like we just didn't learn as much about them, like a little bit the competitiveness of Lucy and like in her family and stuff, but not as much, I guess, newer information on the athletes.
Yeah.
But I mean, I still like watching it.
Yeah.
Just because I like CrossFit.
I feel like I know that Ian Wittenberg did some of the old ones. So what's missing in the equation that we're not getting the stories that we used to get? So either find whatever that missing piece of the equation is, or just have someone else do it. Because I need to go.
I think it's athlete dependent too. Like the athletes need to be. I think the athletes also have to be speaking about more things or opening up maybe in a different way and putting themselves out there in different, like just explaining different parts of their lives. Like if the questions are not being asked maybe from the producers of it, you almost have to like take charge of where the conversations go so that you can promote yourself better as an athlete or the things that you want to highlight from your life. Because they don't know coming in on everything about your background. So you have to show it maybe a little bit more. And I think maybe some athletes are shy to talk about themselves. And it's like a fine line between like not bragging, but like you still want to be able to like say things that you've done in your life so that people can get to know you and know where you come from and stuff like that. But if the questions aren't being asked, you have to do it a little bit. Like you have to guide the conversation and kind of read where to go from it.
So I'm looking at it from a media perspective. When I first got into podcasting, and I remember distinctly, like Carrie Pierce, I went to interview her, and she was running down the normal answers of questions she always gets. And I had to say, I want to do this a little bit different. I just want to have a conversation. I want to learn about you. And like, I think athletes back then were so geared towards like, we're just going to get the straightforward questions. I'm ready with my answers. And I think that's what's starting to happen with the CrossFit content is we're just getting the same rundown. I think someone needs to be doing research on the athletes, like Lucy Campbell being out for 2 years with the wrist issue. That should have been delved into a lot more. And then the win over the win over Laura at Wadapalooza and it's been an exciting year for her. And we didn't get any of that.
No, the only small little background is her swimming. And they didn't dive. It wasn't too long of a conversation on that. Like they didn't really dive deep into it. We saw the swim caps. I would have wanted to learn a little bit more about like her swimming background. And like, I guess they talked a little bit about what she's won and stuff, but I don't know, maybe a little bit more there. Or if there's other sports like Lucy, we didn't get as much. The one from Lucy M. McGonigal. Like we didn't dive as much, I don't think, into her athletic background or just a little bit competitiveness, but it would have been, and I don't know, maybe they don't have as much as certain athletes, right, for certain things, but I feel like everyone has their unique stories that they should be able to share. It depends also if they currently live like in their hometown. Like I know like if I ever had a story on me, like if I was in my hometown, I'd be able to go to like my Taekwondo club and kind of show a little bit more of the roots that I had there and different things and how I used to train and where I used to do things like growing up. But if I'm not in that environment and I'm in a new place, maybe you have less things in that city to maybe show the people of your background. So I don't know if that's also a factor because people move as they age.
Yeah. We can, yeah. That's normally a lunchtime thing. I just was killing some time. And also, Jamie was at the Pit Fitness Ranch this weekend. We were going to do a little spot on what happened at the Pit Fitness Ranch, but Carolyn and I were not there this weekend. So we are scrapping that until next week. So that takes a big chunk out of our rundown. So, Larry here, man. I felt like it was all we need to do something to hype the games. Checking the box, not genuine interest. I felt like it was something CrossFit felt they needed to do. I'm trying to interpret this to hype the games.
Yeah, like every week they're throwing it. What is it? Fridays that they're doing a release. Is that also the best day of the week to put a release for social media on a Friday? Because I feel like that's not necessarily the best. Wouldn't it be like, I don't know.
Midweek.
I don't know as much. Like I don't.
Well,
midweek or early
CrossFit
week.
Space, Tuesdays are good. Thursdays are good. Fridays are not good. So yeah.
And I think they've been posting them like on Fridays. I thought maybe.
Yeah, they have that. My stuff on Fridays is the lowest of the week. So I would say that's probably not a good day. And if you look, I think they say like YouTube numbers.
I'm glad that they're doing something.
Yeah. Let's move
I'm glad
on
they're doing something, at least better than nothing.
Tia hyped the games with a 15-second video. And we actually got an answer in the 15-second video, which was awesome. Kudos to Tia. She's back.
She is.
Any thoughts about her?
I never doubted.
We all said the whole
I never
time
thought she wasn't.
Right. So I do have a question for you about her comeback. So my first question to you is, does her Hyrox training really affect her?
No. Did you see how dominant she was at Torian? And like, she didn't beat bad people. Like, Gracie Walton's great. Maddie Sturt's a great athlete, like a top 10 last year and has been to the games multiple times. I'm missing someone right now. Gracie Walton, Maddie Sturt. A bunch of other ones that were like very good. And they weren't even in the same playing field. Like she's so far ahead.
Daisy McDonald and
Emily DeRoy, a few others. Like, they're not bad athletes by any means, and they just are not in the same play box right now. Like, it's
and that's without 40 days of training for the games.
Yeah, like I would have thought on the clean ladder, I was thinking maybe she'll lose a little bit of strength on the clean, and then she was looking great. They didn't look overly difficult at all. She's jogging between the stations. I'm like, oh man, this is over. If this is the strength event and she has no difficult time after running a lot of the year, I was like, okay, Tia of the old is still here.
All right. Second question. Did the illness at Hyrox show a chink in her armor?
No, I think everyone can be sick at any point. Like that can happen.
Been sick in 8 years.
But no, just at a major competition that we know of. She could have been sick and still smoked her butts. I don't know.
Yeah.
Okay. No, she's Tia. No one's on her level right now.
She beat Guy at the clean ladder. My last question to you was going to be, can she be ready in 36 days? I guess my real question is she ready now?
Yes. Tia's ready at any point. She's accumulated so much volume of CrossFit over the years. It's kind of like me as an aging athlete, right? Hold on. I will rephrase that. She is nothing like me. Okay, we are nothing alike. But as an aging athlete, I don't need to do as much as a volume as what I used to do because I've accumulated a certain amount of reps that I can, I just need to touch up on things just to maintain it. Tia, a significantly fitter athlete than me, has, a huge volume that she's done her whole career that she just needs to touch up on the rings a little bit, and then, muscle memory will be there. It's just the strength part that takes maybe a little bit more as she's lost maybe some muscle mass running a lot, but the technique has always been great for her. So if the technique is dialed in, and the gymnastics is probably easier right now for her, even more so, and she was always great at gymnastics, like there's really not much besides raw strength that she needs to maybe get back and then just touch up on some of the skills again.
Lana makes a good point. Her event one will benefit from her Hyrox training.
Absolutely. That's going to be a great event for her.
Who would you say is the strongest woman going into the games right now? If you're talking about just pure strength, even if Tia was not doing Hyrox, it would be Olivia Kerstetter.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I forgot about that. Yeah. I was trying to think of the women's field right now. Let me grab the women's field.
Even if Tia was training CrossFit all year, it would still be Olivia Kerstetter. Would be the strongest pure strength athlete at the games.
Yes.
But if you're saying strongest in the field to win, I would say it's still Tia.
Mm-hmm. Cause I don't know where I saw the list of all the athletes. Was it barbell spin or the games?
Yeah, you can go to the leaderboard. It's populated.
Okay.
The games leaderboard is populated.
Let's go to that.
I'm going to, because we're on this kind of topic, I'm going to hold MetFix for a second. I'm going to go to the Fact or Fiction because it's kind of along these lines. And I'm going to start there.
See, I thought a lot of the girls this year that have qualified to the games are not strength dominant athletes. They're fit. They're high skilled gymnasts in the field and fit. There's not a strength specialist really in the field besides Kerstetter and Gazan, if she was healthy, like upper body, like pressing for like bench press, stuff like that, like some
and the dark horse in there is Ariel. Ariel went
but I would consider her a strength specialist. Like Ariel is so well rounded as an athlete. Like her gymnastics is,
her strength has gotten so good.
Oh yeah, she's
toe to toe with Tia at Wadapalooza SoCal. She only lost to Tia by 5 pounds.
A lot of good endurance. Yeah, maybe Abby Domet. Yeah, that's a good one. Abby Domet. Annika is very strong too. Like on certain lifts, very, very strong.
She's very.
But I'd say like the strength specialist in the field is definitely Olivia. You're right.
Yeah, Olivia by far wins any lift at this point.
You would think so. There's a couple of them that I don't know enough information on, but yeah, just looking at the field, very, very good gymnast, very, a lot of good cardio people too in there.
Yeah. So let's do some fact or fiction. We'll play the game early, and then and that'll get us moving on some stuff. So my first fact or fiction to you is, and I heard this as a bubble up somewhere, so I want to get your opinion. The reason Dave is taking on the programming this year and possibly documenting it in as a book is because this is his last year as games programmer, regardless of the sale of CrossFit.
What year is this for him? Because he had talked about something like 20.
Yeah, this is year 19.
I feel like he might want to do one more. So I'm going to say fiction. I think it depends how this year goes. And yeah.
So as a parent, I say it's possible fact.
Oh, with the sale, definitely. Like, you don't know what can happen. They can be like, okay, we need to revamp this new face here.
I'm saying regardless of the sale, even if there was no sale, fact, his kids are in high school. That is when like my focus had to shift completely onto my kid.
Mm-hmm.
Right? High school is a very, very tough time for them and for you as a parent, and the activity goes way up, and that's where his kids are right now, or his daughter is at least, who's running cross country and doing all of those kinds of things. And I think that with everything that's gone on the past few seasons, at some point you've got to say, like, yeah, 20 would be nice, but is the juice worth the squeeze? And maybe I just think that maybe he's done after this year. But I'm not going 100% all in. Yes, this is his last season, but I do think it's a very strong possibility.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a strong possibility too.
So I just thought that was a fun question. Fact or fiction number 2. And we've got 4 of them this week. Fact or fiction, a healthy Alex Gazan could have given Tia a run for the title this year.
Fiction. I think she podiums. I think Gazan needs more help from the field. I think she would, because even if Gazan beats Tia in an event, Tia gets second. She needs the Emma Lawson, the Laura Horvath, Gabby, Emma Tall, Freyova. Like you just need that depth to go in. Tia's just too far ahead. Gazan has been looking amazing. I think podium, definitely. Beating Tia, no. That's
Denise was the only one that went fact in the chat. Everybody else was. So Denise went fact, and then nope, fiction, no. And then CrossFit, make her snatch 125 3 times and Tia wins. Not quite that bad for CrossFit. That might be a little bit sarcastic, but
I think make who snatch? Make Gazan snatch 125?
Yeah,
she can power snatch. Like, I've seen her snatch on her Instagram. I want to say 195. She has had good snatch sessions. She has the strength. That's just the odd execution, maybe under the pressure, but she has more than enough strength to snatch well above 200. And I'm sure she probably has hit that in training. We just haven't seen it.
Yeah.
But
right.
Yeah, but on the events that
healthy, we'll never know the answer, but I was just curious your thought.
On the events that Gazan gets Tia is still a top 3, top 5 at the worst. And there may be 1 or 2 events where Alex doesn't get, that top 5. Like that first event, for instance, with all the running, Tia wins that. I don't see Alex in a top 5, even a healthy Alex in the top 5 in that event. Like there's Kringle, there's Haley Adams. If Haley has her regular running, Lucy's a great runner. There's a bunch of them that are great runners. I would put ahead of Hattie's a great runner, ahead of Alex there. And it's like, where is she making that up on other events at the games? It would just be too hard, I think. Maybe another year or 2 as Tia ages out, Alex could do it.
Yeah. I mean, I think Alex is probably our next best bet to be a champion. It's just when is it going to happen? All right.
Yeah, there's a few of them. I mean, it would have been nice to see Gabby too, healthy. I would have liked to have seen that battle of Alex versus Gabby. They're completely different athletes, but that would have been a good one.
CrossFit. If Laura's there, does Alex have a shot at getting closer?
I think so. Closer. Yes.
But still not.
And Emma Lawson too, if Emma Lawson's healthy. Like that, but the thing is we can't, if this person's healthy, if this person's like, it's,
yeah,
we could go down the list of different things.
The more
right?
opportunities for people to get between Alex and Tia in an event, the better her chances, but they're not there.
Absolutely.
So,
yeah. Because there's many athletes that are missing from the women's field this year that I think are very, very fit and would be podium contenders. Not winners, podium contenders.
All right. Fact or fiction number 3. No less than 8 men have the ability to win the CrossFit Games this year.
Fiction. Jeff Adler is going to win the games.
And you feel so strongly about that none of the other.
There's not 8. I don't think there's 8. No, I don't think that there's 8. At most, maybe 4 to 5 at most. I think there's like 8 amazing. Like I can, Dallin, Austin, James, Roman, Ricky, Jeff, Jay, like that's 7 right there. Who am I missing? But like to really win it, I don't know.
So that's where I came up with the number. So I have Hopper, I have Medeiros, I have
Medeiros,
Hatfield, Ricky, Roman, Dallin,
James,
Sprague, Adler, and Jay Crouch.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely 8 on paper that are elite. In my mind, there's still a small little tier within that.
Okay.
I think clock, on those ones would be Adler, Sprague, Pepper, Hatfield. I think Ricky could still do it.
Roman's done clock. Stop saying Mertens. Colton is not going to win the games.
Yeah, not to win the games. Love him as an athlete. He's a home run hitter. He's closed the gap on so many things. Just the first event, I don't think that's a particularly great event for Colton.
As much as he has to exert to overcome a lot of the hurdles in a longer event hurts him. The more days he has to go, the harder it is for him. And I love the man. Like, he is one of my favorite people in the world. I will root for him and cheer for him, but it's too much to overcome, especially with this field, because you have one bad event with this many good people. It's the reverse of what we were talking about with Tia. If you have one bad event, a lot of these guys are going to jump in between. There's too many good people to mess up.
They're just too well-rounded. Like, someone like Jeff is so well-rounded. He's such a good runner. He's a great lifter. He is great at gymnastics. The only time that he loses points on the men's field is a very high power output event, like on an echo bike, where he just doesn't match some of the bigger males in the field. And then maybe an odd event that is new to everyone where he just has to adapt. But other than that, he's so well-rounded, to the point where I don't see him like losing that many points to those athletes. So, but again, you saw WFP, he had a bad execution on the last event, and things can happen, or who knows, an injury can be there going into the games and we don't know about it. Like, someone can have a back injury or something.
A 6 event weekend and a 9 or 10 event weekend are 2 different things.
Totally.
The games are different. If I'm picking the winner today, I'm picking Jeff.
Me too.
Right. Like that. So I agree with you on that. But
I just don't know if there's 8 that like I mean, yes, everything always depends on the programming. Like, yes. But I don't know that I would have 8 that like I feel would win the games. Like, regardless of me knowing the programming, that'd be like, yep, that person is winning. Like, maybe 5. Right. So I'll say fiction for a little bit. That was maybe a little bit too many.
Okay. I'm going fact on that one. I think I am in the minority by far.
But those athletes you name are the ones I'm thinking of too. I forgot Justin. I don't know how I forgot Justin, but yeah, he'd be in the mix of the top 8.
So this idea came from regular sports, not CrossFit. If you've watched the NBA playoffs at all, several athletes went down with Achilles tears, and they seem to be on the rise. So one of the analysts came up with a theory that too many kids are becoming one sport athletes and overusing their muscles, tendons, and ligaments in the same manner over and over and over again. And by the time they become adults, it's weakened to the point where like, that's where we're getting ligament tears, Achilles tendons, all of that stuff happening. Fact or fiction? Because too many kids are playing one sport their whole lives, it's causing these ligament tendon injuries later in life.
I don't know if it's a cause, but it's definitely a factor, maybe. I think, sure, I'll say fact, but I think that people are not training correctly as well. I think like in the NBA, they're playing 82 games or something like that in the season. They need to be more cautious. Like the game is different than it used to be as well. I just think that with the speed of the game being much faster, and a lot of sports are just faster now than they used to be. And there's more impact, and it's just a little bit different. Than the surfaces are different sometimes. I just think maybe there's got to be stuff in the training that people aren't really getting. And yeah, a lot of people are specializing very, very early. I think I watched an interview, like an NBA interview, where, people don't just play basketball anymore. Like they're just so repetitive with the coaching, and you have to do this when this happens, this versus just kind of being creative and kind of like that Kyrie type creativity that we're not seeing as much in the game as much anymore. I just think play sports is good in general for your body. Like you don't have as much overuse injuries. You develop way more skills that are transferable from one sport to the next, or you just learn from different coaches, different athletes. Like I think the more you can surround yourself with different types of athletes, the more you can kind of be a sponge and just grab things from everyone. Too many people are specializing early, way too early.
I am an anti one sport focus.
Oh, me too.
So any evidence that once sends me down the path to fight against that, I am going to join that, whatever it is. So I have a very distinct bias. I was a 4-sport athlete all the way through high school. It wasn't until I got to college that I had to focus on one. And I had a great childhood because of it. I was never going to be a pro football player or a pro baseball player, but I had fun playing those sports, and I didn't need to travel all around the country. I could just play with my friends in the local town league and have a blast. But it does, I think it is a compelling argument that if you're doing a repetitive motion over and over and over and over and over again, eventually you're going to pay for that. Whether it's in sports,
Andrew,
office, or whatever.
Andrew, I was more talking about, so Andrew, or who wrote? No, CrossFit wrote. Kyrie has a ton of lower body injuries. I didn't mean in terms of him doing multiple sports. I don't know his athletic background. I was more meaning of that, like, I like the creativity. Like a lot of basketball players or just sport athletes right now that are specializing have so many coaches that are specializing, like young, like they're just going through camps and one-on-one with these coaches, and they have to do this, and it's just very, very structured type of training regimen. And I think that allowing a little bit more creativity with the ball, like, help develop, like, I think it was LeBron that was talking about it. Like, people don't just go to an outdoor place and just hoop for fun. And like, you have those John Morants, those Kyrie that are just freestyle type athletes sometimes when they're on the court. And I think that there's something about, playing for fun, not just so structured all the time, and just having fun that just helps you develop as an athlete, other things. And then that was just a side point. But then the injury is just, playing a lot of sports is important. I have a lot of athletes at school that are just one sport athlete, and you give them a ball in another sport, and I'm like, geez, like, you are not good at this sport. Like, to me, an athlete is someone that can play a lot of sports. Like, I'm always like of the opinion that an athlete, you can give them a ball, a racket, anything, and they're proficient with any of those. And when you're just so specialized in one sport at a certain age, that I give you any type of a ball and like you look so uncoordinated, I'm like, you're not very athletic.
This coming from the woman who played professional ice hockey, who was a junior Olympian in Taekwondo, who was a national champion in soccer. And I think that actually Andrew makes a great point here, and he's picking up on other people's points as well. I think CrossFit is right. They compete way too much, which cuts into training and development time. I think that's probably even a bigger culprit to it all. Mm-hmm. Is we have these kids traveling all over the country now, competing in a sport, and they don't get practice time. They don't get development time. They're not swinging correctly. They're not throwing correctly. How many pitchers come into the major leagues and within the first 3 years are having Tommy John surgery because they're not throwing efficiently?
And just listening to your body.
Right.
I think like you have to listen to your body. Like, acute injuries are going to happen, where, especially in contact sports or something like that, where something happens and, someone falls on your knee and your ACL or your MCL goes. Like, that'll happen. But a lot of the, like, wear and tear, like, it's just a lot of repetition and maybe just not strengthening other parts of your body or balancing out or just listening and taking rest days. And, in basketball right now, like, it's frowned upon right now, the people that will sit out games, especially as ticket holders, want to go and watch their favorite athletes play. And maybe as we start seeing injuries go up, the league can start going down in games so that athletes can be there a little bit more, like, playing, because I don't know, 82 games maybe is too much for how fast the game is now, but it was more physical back then. Like, there's a lot more threes. I don't know. I don't know what the answer is, if it's just a lack of training. I mean, I look at a lot of the way that athletes train, and I'm like, they don't move very well in the weight room. And a lot of the trainers suck. Like, Olympic athletes that are getting trained can't move properly. And I'm like looking at their training and I'm like, they're not squatting very well. And then you wonder why they have knee problems and they do a quarter squat like their entire life. They never squat to depth. Yeah, I think like a lot of them don't have good trainers, to be honest.
Denise,
like some of my teammates, when they came to my like CrossFit Coliseum, like my the gym that I train at, like, we helped move them, and I was like, man, like, if they just learn to move better, I bet that they would get injured a lot less. Just strengthening, different muscles that they're not working on, but by not going like full range of motion. And there's a time and place to do kind of like quarter squats and to develop power and speed and certain things. But if you never, ever, sit in the bottom of a squat, and how many times do you have to change directions, and your body is going to be in that position under high stress and load as you change directions. Like, you have to be able to train that way. And I think there's a lot of bad trainers out there. I think some of the best ones are at CrossFit gyms, to be honest.
Denise wants to know, how many times did you get to play stickball or kickball in the street?
Oh, often. Did I play growing up?
Yeah.
Like the one street that's beside me, we used to go and play street hockey all the time. Like you put the nets, when the cars go, you move the net so that the cars can go. It was either that or basketball in the street.
Just like a scene
All
out
the
of
time.
Wayne's World.
All the time. Yeah, you move the nets, and then you don't park any nice looking cars by the hockey nets. You don't hit them.
CrossFit wants to know. Yeah, I mean, if Canadians didn't play so much hockey, maybe they'd win a cup. Someone's hitting below the belt.
No comment there.
All right. Well, that was a good discussion. Yeah, I loved playing all sports when I was a kid, and because I wasn't traveling or doing all those other things, I got to go play kickball in my friend's side yard, or softball or baseball or whatever. Like we were always outside doing something, which I loved.
Yeah. Like me, like I played so many. Like I was still playing 3 sports all the way until my first CrossFit games. I was still playing soccer, hockey, and CrossFit. But like I always get mad at myself because I'm like, man, I stopped playing sports. So I didn't want to get injured for CrossFit, and then I continued to play hockey until 2 years ago. But it's almost like once you stop, you have this fear of getting injured playing other sports, and I never had that fear. Like I was playing hockey and I never feared that I was going to get injured and I couldn't compete in CrossFit. But now that I don't do any other sport and I've just CrossFitted, I guess, for the past year, it's almost like I get scared to do another sport. And I hate that I have that mentality because I never had that my entire life. And I think people that don't play sports, like maybe, I don't know, maybe they have that, oh, I can't play this because I can't get injured for this and this. And I want to get back to playing more sports because I think when you play more sports, like you play more freely. If you don't play, you almost are hesitant and you're holding back. And when you hold back, that's worse. That's when you do get injured. So I think that stopping for me is not good. Like I don't want to stop for too long. Like I got to get back to playing sports because it's a weird feeling that I've never had before, where it's like some of my students sometimes will be like, oh, I'll play. And like, I don't play with my students ever because it's not my time to play. It's like, I want them to be active, but like I have this fear of like, oh no, what if I get injured? Like I never had that fear before. So I gotta get out of my head.
It's funny you say that because, you know, I gained a lot of weight and stopped doing everything. And then I lost 250 pounds and I played in a men's flag football league after that. And I played in a softball league and I was having the time of my life. I'm out there playing flag football at 50 years old and there are 20-year-olds playing against me. And I am having a ball, you know, and we made the playoffs like every year we played. It was so much fun. And it's so you get back in those situations and you're playing every week. I would throw my body into situations no 50-year-old should have been doing. Like, but you get back into that athlete mode and you just do whatever it takes. Right.
Mm-hmm. Competitiveness comes out.
Now, Tuesday mornings getting out of bed was not as easy as it was 30 years. But yeah,
I miss playing. I miss playing sports. I need to play more things again.
All right. So we're done with fact or fiction. I know you pumped some questions in. We'll do those in a couple minutes, but let's talk about MetFix. We had Pete Shaw on this week and had a nice over-hour conversation with him. There's all this hubbub going around in the space that there's this MetFix thing that what is it? You have the Hillers of the world upset that they're not really saying who they are or what they're doing. And I was having a hard time this week just figuring out what to ask, what to do, what to say. And at the end of the day, after talking to Pete, and even after the conversation went off the air, like I think they're just trying to be the next component for CrossFit. Because my last question to him in the interview was, do you see a future where CrossFit and MetFix can work together? And he said, absolutely. Did you get a chance to listen? And do you have any?
Yeah, I listened to the whole thing. There was 2 points that I liked that he made that I was like, okay. When he talked about their 2-day seminars, all basically like when we think about our level 1 or level 2, for instance, we're talking about movement standards. We're talking about points of performance, all of that, or how to coach like efficiently and stuff like that. And their 2-day seminar is a lot more based on nutrition stuff. And then maybe it's one little piece is on movement. And I was like, okay, that's a different type of seminar. That would be cool. And then the other thing is kind of comparing it to like CrossFit's more like the undergrad part. And then you're looking to continue education. You're not going to forget about the CrossFit foundation or your first degree that you had. You're just building upon it in terms of nutrition and going a step further. And for that, is there anything different that they're preaching? No, it's the same message that CrossFit is doing. They just might be putting more emphasis, like the way that I like understood is they're putting just more emphasis on the nutrition factors with the CrossFit versus a lot more affiliates focus more on the physical part of, doing CrossFit versus, that's my dog, versus the nutrition part.
So, and Hiller's here with a comment, so I'll pull that up in a second. I think my one issue is it's all based on this flexible, what do you call it? Flexible metabolic piece. And like, I haven't found enough research on that to know, is that like a solid enough principle to be a one answer to nutrition after all the CrossFit stuff? And that seems to be the big differential. And so I don't know enough about that. And I tried to research it as much as I could. Maybe I'm just not smart. Science was not my best subject, but I was trying to figure it out. And
yeah, like when I look at it more like, I don't know. I mean, it's CrossFit. Like their workout of the day. I mean, they're still doing all the same workouts that they're taking hero workouts or benchmark workouts from the CrossFit community. It should almost be like a seminar, like an extra course that people could take, like a continuing education credits for a little bit more on nutrition. Like it's like they have a 1-day nutrition program that Jocelyn does. I think she lives in Calgary. She's like a level 4 seminar staff member. And she's done like a 1-day course. I'm not sure how similar are the topics that she does, but to me, like their seminar should just be an extra credit thing. Like I don't know why they need affiliates for MetFix, because it's the same message that we have. It's just promoting more nutrition, and maybe it's just a course that they could be going at different affiliates to try to get people to be talking more about nutrition and not just the WOD of the day, and how to include it within your hour class. Whether it's 2 or 3 minutes that you talk about nutrition on your hour, because there's just not much different there.
And like Andrew says here, the next component of CrossFit is still CrossFit. That's the thing. When Greg says his message hasn't changed in 20 years, 6 months ago, it shows its true colors. Then my question to you, Hiller, and because I'm not an insider, I don't have the opportunity to talk to Greg or his people very often. And that is that, why is his face on it? Why is he allowing his message and his face to be such a large part of MetFix? Because that's what's making it very, very confusing, I think, for the lay person in the space. And that's where I'm really like torn apart trying to figure this out on my own. And that's where my frustration comes from, because I can see both sides. My first question to Pete is, everybody can look at MetFix and say, I've seen this all in the level 1.
Or in CrossFit Journal articles or stuff that we've seen before in the space. Anyways, I don't know if it's all in the level 1. I wouldn't say it's all in the level 1, but like,
right. But I was just trying to make a point that
yeah,
it's all been written down before.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah, I'm not sure. I like what they're doing. Like I'll rephrase that. I like the message about working on nutrition and not just the WOD of the day, because, WOD is an hour of your day, but nutrition will take up also other parts of your day. And I think that we should be talking more about nutrition in gyms and promoting healthier lifestyle in general. So I do like that. I can see that some people may be drawn to MetFix because of the brand of CrossFit maybe has diminished over the years with some controversial stuff, that they want to start something new that doesn't have the word CrossFit in it, but it's the same message. I can see that people could be wanting that, but everyone knows what CrossFit is. Every single person knows what CrossFit is. Like, people that don't do CrossFit, like they've heard the name. And if you said MetFix to anyone on the street, they have no idea what that is. So I still think that there should be space for both of them to work together under basically the CrossFit umbrella, but pushing a little bit more the nutrition part. And I get that Pete said, and I like Pete a lot, that no one's kind of pushing it at the top level from CrossFit, which is why that they've kind of gone their separate way. But I feel like we need to be continuing to push it. But I mean, if any other people were doing this, CrossFit would be suing them because it's the same. They're for doing the same thing as them.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if the new CrossFit would be suing.
No, because it's content that he's written and done. So it's a touchy. Yeah, it's just I don't know.
Okay, so Andrew has a couple things. Have you seen a single piece of content posted on the MetFix's page that isn't stripped from Savant's podcast? I have not, because I looked a lot. Andrew also says they want to work with CrossFit, be a derivative of it to help in the future. Guys, Greg said he has nothing new.
But I think they could do their 2-day seminar, and that's a course. That's a course that people could take to talk, because they don't talk too much in depth about the nutrition part in the level 1 or level 2. I think it should just be a course. I don't know, they could call it MetFix or whatever they want to call it, but it's part of one of the courses that pop up, and they can travel to different places and try to preach more of the nutrition, and people can buy, or pay for that seminar that weekend to help their lives get healthier, and then share that message. But it's the same message from before. It's just putting it all together into a weekend seminar for people.
So here's where I am on the Hiller side. If you go to their website, it is very much like the CrossFit website. It is a workout of the day. They don't even hide the fact that it is a CrossFit workout of the day. In fact, they're using even named workouts.
Yeah, and it's like .com workouts.
Right.
I think it is the .com.
I don't think it's the same day, but it would not surprise me if they're not just stripping it from the workout of the day. So, yeah.
I like the recipes that they're doing. I like that stuff. I just feel like it could there should be a way to work together without it being.
I think
separate.
the biggest.
But I get people are going to try to make money, and
I think the biggest part that everybody is struggling with is that they are not saying we're competing with CrossFit, and they're not saying we're an accessory to CrossFit. They're just kind of hanging out in the middle, and they are either one or the other. Because there's too much CrossFit in it to be anything other than either a competitor or an accessory. But so we'll move on from that. Okay. Yeah. I think could go on forever. And maybe I'll do a separate piece on this, but yeah. This week, Brent Fikowski made 2 appearances on 2 different podcasts. I think it was sold as, especially the Mayhem one, that he was going to talk about the demands. I don't think he really talked about the demands, other than he felt like no matter what decision the PFAA made and those demands, they were going to be criticized for them, whatever they chose to do. But I thought what was more important coming out of that was that they have come up with, or are in the process of coming up with, a standard movement list with descriptions and a database for that and for other competitions to use, not as a mandate, but as a resource for them to tap into. I think that if the PFA are truly trying to do something, that is a great place to make some efforts and some headway. And I wanted to get your thoughts on that.
I like the idea of it. When he talked about, like, you know, if you want to run a competition, like you want to host your own competition and you're looking for movement standards written down, where do you go? CrossFit doesn't have it written down. They might have some written down for the open or quarterfinal workouts. But other than that, you have to go like to competition corner of another competition to maybe look at the standards. So having some sort of centralized location would be nice to have. If PFAA wants to do it because CrossFit doesn't want to do it, sure. And then I think that should be also shared on the CrossFit website, like on the CrossFit, maybe either the .com or the games version of the website, so that people can go there and at least get, you know, movement standards in general that people can use for their own competition. And then you link them to whatever part of the website that has the movements that you want to integrate in your competition. Like I like the idea. I watched the one video that he made like on the sandbag cleans, and I think it was also nice as like a judge could also be looking at those and be like, oh, okay, I see, you know, the bent knees on the cleans, it's not quite done, or the bag is a little bit in front. Because as like he was kind of showing those, you know, grayish reps, or even talking about like the hands can, like if you're doing a clean touch and go with the sandbag, the hands can touch the ground and not the sandbag, because like you'll get called no reps if your hand, depending on the competition, like sometimes the bag needs to touch the ground and you can't really do touch and goes as much. So just having a place that has that, I think facilitates a lot of things for event organizers and just the athletes in general to know what they're doing. There's still room, I think, that people could tweak things up if they want to have a newer movement, and they can create their own standard there. But in general, there should be some sort of place that people can go to that has standards, and we just don't really have that right now. So I like that idea.
Yeah, I like the fact that he was like, the wall ball has one workout description. Like it can only be one thing. But like a handstand push-up, depending on if it's online or if it's in person, it could have a couple different variations that could be used for that competition. And I thought that was a good explanation. He did that on the TTT podcast that came out today. Because there are those exceptions where something like the handstand push-up has to be different and measured and differently in an online competition than it does in person.
And it's not saying that every competition needs to do those standards, but I think still having some sort of standards written out somewhere with videos just helps people. And it just makes it a little bit more smooth, like just smoother for competitions. I also like the, you know, best practices, right? You know, we've done, he talked about, I don't know if it was on the Mayhem or on the TTT one, where he talked about the change that, I think it was on the Mayhem one, the rope and the legless rope climb. And, you know, when there was a big knot, not going to there for the legless and adjusting, or hot barbells. Like there's some things that like we just know as athletes, as, you know, you're outside, barbells, this, if it's raining, you know, you don't do these movements. But having like best practices in general of heat or indoor measurement things could be also very useful safety wise for for different events. Like, even if it was like, if it's raining and you have like these are options that you could do, or
Yeah.
I think
they talked about like the strict chest to bar pull up would be a different standard in the rain. And they definitely did talk about what happened at Mayhem with the rope climb and the knot being too big and very difficult for the athletes to get up and over. So they felt that had a danger element and they changed it immediately.
Yeah.
So yeah, I do think that is a way for them to get back into, because we haven't seen them in 6 months. And I think they're, when you're not in the public eye, you're forgotten a little bit, and they need to do a few things to build up some street cred again.
And I think that's good. Like, the idea of it was always good. And they were putting, best practices for video standards for how you're filming things online. They were sending information on, let's say, I don't know what they had. Drug testing. I think they posted something about, heat. I think they did post something about heat at one point. But you had things going on their Instagram for a while, and that stuff was great.
Yeah. Yeah, I've always said that I think there is a place for an athlete association. I just didn't like their structure.
Well, the other thing was, I think it was Rich that said that was like, oh, but you can't have active athletes on it. And he thought that was murky. And I thought that was interesting because they program and they have athletes competing, which is also murky. But at the same time, most unions have active players that are on those, like, that's what they are. Yeah. And then you have the alumni stuff, or you have other association that has maybe people that have retired and can also share. It's the unknown that makes it difficult, but I still think that you can have, it depends on the topic. But if it's just like asking the current athletes what are best practices, and like they can be involved in conversations for what they're seeing right now as they're competing. And then when it comes to like other things, then you don't have the active athletes that can be a part of that.
CrossFit says Kara loves Mayhem's involvement.
I just think it's unfair. I love Mayhem. I love their programming. I like the people there. I just think it's completely unfair that you are programming and know every single workout of the year, as do many other athletes.
So kind of in the same vein as movement standards, WFP did announce their equipment list for the upcoming qualifier. And so what equipment you need ahead of time before the qualifier occurs, which does help in planning, I'm sure.
I think that helps. And if you know that you need to go somewhere for a 15-foot rope, or your gym doesn't have a GHD and this gym, like, you don't know the workouts. It's kind of like when CrossFit used to release the floor plans and you were kind of playing the guessing game of like, ooh, they could do this combination and this combination. And I think it's still unknown. You have certain, equipment, and it can facilitate. It's not like they're releasing it, 2 years in advance. It's when is their qualifier? Like next week or something like that. So a couple weeks in advance. I think that's fine.
Yeah. Back on the Mayhem thing, many athletes seem to find out about the workouts before an event prior to it. That is,
I can confirm that from my experience at the games, that I had a Mayhem athlete that knew a workout. I can 100% confirm that.
All right. Now we're going to hit some quick hitter stuff. Crossover double unders were announced as a movement for the CrossFit Games early. So again, we now know. So everybody can have their beaded rope this year as opposed to that first year.
I was surprised to see it make a comeback, because I didn't think Dave was particularly a fan of them and him doing the programming. I'm not surprised to see him back, but I was surprised because he's doing the programming. But I think it's cool. Something different. And they're giving it enough time they're giving it enough time where people can practice it. So I bet the volume of it will be a little bit bigger than what they have in 2022 is like 30 reps, maybe 30 to 50 reps of them. Not sure how many, but
it was like 20, I think.
Yeah, it wasn't many of them, but
No.
I'd expect now that they've released it earlier that it would be a lot more than that. I just hope it's not like it's a balanced workout where it doesn't just become all about the crossbar. But people have been given a warning, so it is all on the athletes now as well.
Now they will have beaded ropes, not just the RX Smart Gear athletes. We were actually an RX Smart Gear podcast back then, and I actually had a beaded rope at the time of that games because they gave me the little package.
Yeah, like they had sent it. I had it sent to me prior to the games. I didn't know what it was for, so I didn't bring it to the games.
Yeah. I found this on the internet today. I wanted to make sure to show you. Did you see that Rogue came out with a new plate that's supposed to be quieter when it's dropped? So that if you're working out at home, it actually will, it's supposed to decrease the decibels your weight drop is in your garage or your apartment or wherever you're lifting.
The best part about lifting is boom.
But if you're in an apartment complex,
No, I know.
You know what I mean? Like so, and they're called Honeycomb plates. So Garage Gym Reviews actually reviewed them and tested the decibels, but I wanted to show you the drop and see how these plates react. It is freaking wild.
And it's from Rogue?
It's from Rogue.
You see?
Yeah, you'll see it. The Rogue's right on the side of the plate.
I didn't hear about this. That's cool though.
All right. So you see that's the Honeycomb plate.
That's cool.
Right there. And then when you drop it, they're rolling it off of a 6-foot.
Put the volume on because it's not on. So it's going to sound like it's real quiet now, Scott.
Well, you're not going to be able to tell anyway.
We definitely
drop.
Okay. Dude.
You see that?
They come
quiet.
I was not definitely gonna have to test that.
Yeah.
Dude, still less than the night.
Here we go.
You ready?
I'm ready.
No glove this time.
No glove.
Not needed. Okay.
I'm feeling crazy.
Okay. All right. 3, 2. Dude, still less than the Nikes.
I am wondering from a sound wise though, I feel like the Nike was quieter.
We're definitely gonna have to test that.
Yeah.
We definitely have to.
Did Nike do it first? And then this is like their version of it?
No, they dropped a high temp plate. A Rogue high temp. They dropped a Nike Crumb something plate. So they did a couple plates to see the bounce and then to see the decibels.
Okay.
So
dude.
Yeah,
They compressed. They compressed. That is like the tires. That's pretty cool.
Sick.
I wonder how that affects.
Come here, Wyatt.
I was not expecting. This is
like I think that's good for a one. Like that's good if you're doing one rep, but how does that like absorption affect your lifts when like in CrossFit when you do multiple reps? Like I don't think that's the weight that you would want to use if you're doing touch and go, because if it's like kind of bending like that, like I wouldn't really know how the absorption happens and how that throws off the lift. But if you're just doing one rep, I can see it, being good, like in Olympic lifting.
So I think they were trying to say that the more bounce, the worse it was going to perform, because you want a comp plate that's not bouncing around your gym if you're doing like 1 reps, right? And so they were kind of downgrading it for the amount of hop it had. The high temp plate only went to the 2-foot section on that ruler behind them. This one went to 3. The Nike Crumb plate went to 4. Like it bounced way higher. But what they found out is decibel levels were very different. These ones were by far the quietest plates. But they also said you're not dropping it with the bar attached or the collars, which would add some noise to the overall thing. but these are not cheap plates.
Oh, I bet. I mean,
They're in between the high temp and the competition plate price, and much higher than the high temp, which is what I have in my garage gym, or the high temps. These ones were almost double the high temp cost.
I mean, it's a great idea.
Andrewston, I wonder how they make it weigh the same and keep it the same size with the material taken out. It's actually thinner. These ones are thinner than the high temp plate. So it must be like the metal inside of it and where it's put and distributed that makes it weigh the same. Yeah, and the density on the high temps are 88, whatever the measure of density is. These are 80. So they were made of a different density rubber. And I don't know. I'm not, again, science was not my strong point, but I just found it interesting to watch and how much they can, because the other plates don't compress at all. They just kind of like bounce. These ones like really compress and pop up off the floor. Durometer. That's exactly it, CrossFit. That is what they were measuring. But anyway, it's my garage reviews. If you want to check out the full video, it was a fun little experiment. They say they're not scientists. They just wanted something repeatable that they could do with different plates and kind of give you an idea if it was worth the bang for the buck. But I thought it was fun to show.
I keep moving around because it's so hot in this room, and I close the door, and there's no, like, the AC is not really in this room because I took off the fan that was here, and I'm just sticking to this chair right now. So that's why I keep moving around.
The sacrifices you make for this podcast. All right, you pumped in some questions. What lifts do you expect to see at the games?
Well, I just figured because it was a little bit of a slower week, so I was just trying to think of some questions with Lex on the drive home. Well, with Isabel that we saw this year at the semifinals, like, I would be surprised to see a snatch as like a max lift there, and then they had a clean ladder last year. I don't know, maybe a clean and jerk. I was trying to think of a.
Yeah, last year was a clean ladder.
Yeah, it's a clean ladder. Because Justin won it, right? I think Justin won it.
Austin was way up there.
Yeah, but then he missed a lift or something. They could do a heavy grace I could see that.
Yeah, just to offset all the heavy Elizabeths.
Yeah. Overhead squat could be there.
CrossFit says heavier as Isabel or double heavy Isabel. No, please, no. I don't need to see another Isabel of any kind. Your next question was early top fives.
Yeah, I think we already talked about a little bit more on the men's side already of the top five. For me, it's Justin, Dallin, Hopper. I'll say Austin and Ricky. I think Ricky could have a good year still.
You left Jeff out.
Did I not say Jeff first?
No.
Jeff first.
Yeah, I would go Jeff, Dallin, Austin, James, Jay. Every time I pick Jason to do amazing, and he is having a really good year, he lets me down. I can't pick him again. And on the women's side, Tia.
Yep. Ariel. Danielle.
I'd have to look real quick. I haven't looked at their leaderboard in a minute.
Alexis, if she can perform a little bit better than she did at the semis. I said Jeff in my head as number 1, and I thought I said it out loud. Lucy Campbell. Trying to think of.
I'm going to go Tia, Ariel, Abby, Lucy, Fee.
Lucy Campbell, right? Not
Lucy Campbell, Fee.
Fee. Let me look at the women's side. Brooke Wells too. She could have a good year. Forgot about Brooke. I think Brooke can be top 5. And Haley's always around the top 5. Like,
yeah.
I'm not sure where she'll be. I haven't seen enough from her. But like, talk about someone that's always around the 5th or 6th spot, 4th to really 4th to 6th. Like that's Haley.
Yeah, I think Fee's better inside than Haley, and can Fee just stay close enough in that run? So I'm going to take Fee. I think Fee's had the better year, and she qualified in the first event, stress-free, working out, training. I don't know. That's got to pay off somehow.
I think she'll definitely be close to that top 10 or inside that top 10. And she's looking really good this year. Really good.
Felix Jack lately. Craig says Jeff, Dallin, James, Austin, Jason. CrossFit Alexis, if her stomach holds up. It's a shame we've got to say that. Clock says Hopper. I have to say it, the flopper.
I don't think he'll flop. I think he'll be solid. I see him doing well.
Craig, DB, Ariel, Lucy, Tia, Brooke. Something about Dallin feels right. All right, so there's that. Who could be a dark horse this year? Most improved rookie.
I don't know the one that won the online semis. I'm curious to see more of her.
Okay.
Syria Meha?
Yeah.
I don't really know much about her. I think Lucy
every
can
time
do
I
well.
see her name, my phone lights up because thinks I'm asking.
McGonigal, I think, could do well. Yeah. Kringle should have a good year. And then I think with a lot of the stuff being indoors, I think Annika is going to do really well.
Annika was my dark horse.
She has to just survive. She'll survive the first event, but if a lot of it is indoor, she's got the strength and the gymnastics as good as anyone. Like she has home run abilities in certain stuff.
She does. Which
I think can maybe make up for the one event of like the long distance. It just depends how much running. Maybe if there's some out of this, I don't know what that arena looks like. If they'll have like running outside of it for like multiple rounds with, a gymnastics and a weightlifting implement of some sort. But I think if it's a lot more traditional, which is what Dave said, like classic CrossFit, Annika's one of the best. She's going to do very well.
I think she's gotten over her big hurdle, and now the pressure's off.
For sure.
And hopefully that means none of the silly mistakes that have cost her in the past. So that's what I'm thinking of. Vi says Miriam Von Rohr. I think that was in my head. She's going to kill the first event, and then
I don't think so.
You don't think so?
No. I don't think her strength is running. She's done a lot of Hyrox. She's a good Hyroxer, but there's better runners in the field than her. Amy Kringle's a better runner than her.
Is it mistakes or her weakness as an athlete? They're mistakes. The end of what a WFP was a mistake. The rope climb debacle of Orlando was just a bad judge. I don't know.
Yeah, if there's a lot of wall balls, like Miriam is one of the best ones. Probably the best in the field with wall balls and squatting, burpees. Like she has definitely some home run stuff. Very, very good squatter. But I don't think her strength is. I don't think her running is like a top 3 in the games field. Even if she does Hyrox, I wouldn't put her top 3 in the field.
Okay.
Isn't Jennifer Muir a good runner too? Lucy Campbell, Amy Kringle, Tia, Haley. Hattie's a good runner.
Yeah.
Just trying to look very fast. I'm just skimming the Brooke. Danielle's a good runner.
Yeah, there's a lot of good runners this year.
There's a lot of really good runners.
Yeah.
Yeah, Alexis is a good runner too. Like there's a lot of people in that field that
most improved and rookie.
Most improved. I mean, might be someone like Fee. On the men's side,
Lucy Campbell most improved for me. Because she finished in the 20s.
I think she was like 16th. No, she did well. She was like 16th. She won. Lucy won 2 events at her first game. She won the Jackie Pro. She won the swimming event. She was a stud in her first one. She was really, really good. Most improved for the guys, I'm gonna go with. I mean, if Austin can make a big jump to the podium, I know he finished 10th last year, but there's a big jump between 10 and that could be most improved. Nick Matthews already done well at the games. Maybe someone like Colton.
Yeah, I could see Colton making a huge jump from like 19th,
like Colton.
18th,
Yeah.
19th was his last finish at the games to I could see him being a top 10 or top 5 even. Just because I say he can't win doesn't mean I don't think he can't be up there. Like I think he can be up in that like top 5. He, in my view, like he has become like that Kristen Holta. They'd have to have really good programming to beat to podium, but they're going to be up in that like 8 to 5 range a lot. I think that's where Colton's gotten himself.
He's good.
And I think that would be a huge improvement. Someone says, Jorge, this is his rookie year.
I think Ty for rookie on the men. Ty Jenkins.
You know who could have a great improvement is Tudor.
Yeah. Tudor could have a good improvement. I don't think he'll particularly love that first event, but
no. But we'll see. Like he's supposedly been working on it.
Yeah.
Rookie, you said who'd you have?
On the men's side, I had Ty on the men's side.
Yeah,
on the
Ty's
female, I'll go
William
with
Leahy could have a good one too.
Yep, that's a good
William
pick.
Leahy could be a good rookie. On the women's side,
I think Lucy McGonigal could surprise. Because I already talked about Annika doing well. I think Lucy could do well. And like I said, I don't know enough about that one girl. from the semifinals. So I'm curious to see what she looks like.
Yeah, none of us know. It's not a strong rookie class on the women's side. I think it's McGonagall's to win. Lydia Fish.
I mean, Jennifer Muir won the first WFP Challenger division, right? So she had she's good. She's got some good skills. Everything. I'm just trying to look if everyone else already has some spot. I mean, Miriam could also do well. I wouldn't say it's Lucy's to lose. I think Annika can do well too.
That's true. I keep forgetting that she's a rookie.
She is rookie.
She's been on our radar for so long. And Lydia Fish could do well too, indoors with that kind of stuff. The weights are going to kill her, but she'll be good at the other stuff.
It's crazy the difference in time that like she's had to prepare versus someone like Fee and Abby, right? That were qualified. Was it early April? Early April was the Mayhem Classic, and then Lydia and Yona was mid-June.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. All right. So in other news, we have Emma Tall re-injures her shoulder. That probably puts her out for WFP. She wasn't competing in the CrossFit Games season anyway. But nobody likes to see injuries.
She had a lat issue before, right? I think she had torn her lat or something a couple months ago, if I remember.
I feel like she's been nursing it since last year's games.
So I wonder if it's, I don't know if it's the same side, if that went just from dealing with that. Not sure.
Yeah. Well, that's all we have tonight. That's the rundown. We hope that Jamie's having a blast with her son, celebrating his graduation from high school. And she'll be back with us next week, and she can fill us in on what happened at the Pitt Fitness Ranch this weekend. We have lunch with the Clydesdale all week. No guests so far this week, but I'll try to work on something. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And hey, if you want to help us, support us, I am going to the games this year. I do have some special things in the works. Hopefully they'll all work out. If you want to support us, hit that join button. It's as cheap as $2.99 a month to help us keep this thing running every Sunday night. With that, guys, thank you so much for being here. You in the chat make this worth our while every single week. And we will be back next Sunday for Sunday Night CrossFit Talk. All right, bye. Bye, guys.